Jake Hoyt, a young LAPD officer, has just been transferred to the narcotics division. Today is his first day on the job, a day that will change his life forever. Jake Hoyt is assigned to work under the supervision of Detective Alonzo Harris, a tough and legendary training officer. Alonzo asks Jake to meet him at a small cafe to begin his first day of training. Jake meets Alonzo at the cafe, where Alonzo sits calmly reading a newspaper. Jake tries to start a conversation, eager to impress, but Alonzo cuts him off and says, "Be quiet until I finish reading." But Jake, trying to break the silence, starts talking again. This time, Alonzo lowers his newspaper, looks at him, and says, "All right, entertain me. Tell me a story." Jake nervously tells one, hoping to impress. When he finishes, Alonzo smirks and says, "That's the worst story I've ever heard." He then tosses the bill toward Jake and says, "You pay." After that, they head out to Alonzo's car. The real training begins. Driving through the city in Alonzo's black Monte Carlo, their first stop comes quickly. They spot a group of college kids buying marijuana on the street. Alonzo and Jake chase them down and catch them. But instead of making an arrest, Alonzo takes the weed from them, and even grabs some cash out of their hands. He warns them, "Don't let me catch you buying this again," and lets them go. They goes through town on car. At that moment, Alonzo told Hoyt to smoke weed. Hoyt tell him he can't because he joined police to stop this drug usage, but this make Alonzo angry, and he stops the car on middle of the road, and point gun at Hoyt head and told him, "If you can't smoke you will out for my team." Without any other option, Hoyt smoke weed for the first time in his life. After that, Alonzo drives Jake straight to the house of his old friend, Roger, a retired cop who now lives like a rich drug dealer. The atmosphere feels casual as they sit and talk, laughing like old buddies. During the conversation, Roger tells Jake that he's planning to move to the Philippines island, and that he's never coming back. He smiles, shakes Alonzo's hand, and says goodbye. On their way back from Roger's house, Jake spots two men in an alley trying to assault a young girl. Without a second thought, he jumps out of the car and rushes to help. A brutal fight breaks out, and Jake manages to overpower and tie up the attackers. Just then, Alonzo arrives, but instead of arresting them, he searches their pockets, takes their cash and drugs, and tells the girl to go home safely. Then he releases the two men as if nothing happened. Jake is furious, demanding to know why. Alonzo calmly replies, "They're just small fish. You wanna clean the ocean, you gotta catch the big sharks." A little later, Alonzo and Jake drive into another neighborhood where they spot a man in a wheelchair, a street-level dealer. They approach him pretending to be customers, but the man quickly realizes they're cops and tries to escape. Jake chases him through the streets and finally catches him inside a small shop. He ties the man up and begins to question him, but the dealer stays silent. Then Alonzo steps in, calm but ruthless. He forces a pen into the man's mouth, making him gag and vomit the small packets of drugs he had hidden. Finally, the terrified dealer reveals the name of his boss, Sandman. Alonzo and Jake head to the house of Sandman, the dealer they just heard about. But Sandman isn't home. Only his wife and young nephew are there. Jake hesitates, but Alonzo orders him to cover her with his gun while he searches the house. When the woman demands to see a warrant, Alonzo casually shows her a piece of paper. Nothing official, just a fake warrant. Realizing she's being robbed, she runs after him, screaming, as Alonzo stuffs Sandman's hidden cash into his pockets. Her shouting draws the attention of Sandman's crew outside, and suddenly, a fierce shootout breaks out. Bullets fly through the windows, but Alonzo and Jake barely escape with their lives. Back in the car, Jake angrily confronts Alonzo about the money, the fake warrant, and the chaos they just caused. But Alonzo brushes it off, saying, "This is the narcotics division. If you're scared, go back to your old department." Despite his frustration, Jake has no choice but to stay with Alonzo and continue the ride. Next, they drive to Baldwin Village, a rough neighborhood filled with gangsters and danger on every corner. They stop in front of a small house and ring the doorbell. A woman opens the door. She's Alonzo's girlfriend. Jake is surprised to realize that Alonzo brought him here just to visit her. Inside, Jake meets Alonzo's young son, a cheerful boy who clearly adores his father. While Alonzo spends time with his girlfriend, Jake sits with the boy, talking and playing with him. After some time, Alonzo comes out, looking serious. He tells Jake, "We've got a meeting to attend, let's move." Jake quickly says goodbye to the boy. Alonzo and Jake then head straight to a fancy restaurant, where a group of high-ranking police officials, known as the Three Wise Men, are waiting. During the meeting, they ask Alonzo about the threat he's facing from the Russian mafia. Alonzo confidently replies that he has everything under control. The officials nod, and the meeting ends. As they walk out, Jake quietly notices Alonzo slipping a bundle of cash, the same money he stole from Sandman's house, into the trunk of another car. When Jake questions him about it, Alonzo casually says, "Relax, that's payment for getting an arrest warrant." From there, Alonzo and Jake drive straight to meet Alonzo's special team, a group of tough, heavily armed narcotics officers. Jake can sense something big is about to happen. Alonzo gathers everyone and lays out his plan. They're going to raid Roger's house. Jake is shocked. Roger, the man they visited earlier, is Alonzo's old friend. But Alonzo gives no explanation, only cold instructions. It's clear this isn't just a normal raid. It's something much darker. Inside Roger's house, Alonzo and his team uncover millions of dollars hidden beneath the floorboards. But instead of seizing the money legally, Alonzo decides to split it among his men. Every officer agrees, except Jake. He refuses to take part in the corruption. The tension rises, and Jake starts realizing how deep Alonzo's greed runs. Moments later, Alonzo coldly announces that Roger must die, to cover up the robbery and make it look like a justified shooting. He hands Jake the gun and orders him to pull the trigger. Jake refuses, horrified. Without hesitation, Alonzo grabs his own weapon and shoots Roger dead himself. Then, with the help of his team, he stages the crime scene to make it look like self-defense. After killing Roger, Alonzo orders his team to back up his story and claim that Jake was the shooter. Jake refuses. He won't be part of the lie. The team turns hostile, even suggesting they should kill Jake and make it look like an accident. Alonzo, calm and ruthless, reminds Jake that the LAPD will run a blood test after the shooting, and if they find traces of PCP, Jake's career will be destroyed and he could go to prison. Trapped and helpless, Jake reluctantly goes along with the cover-up. Jake asks Alonzo, "How can you kill your own friend?" Alonzo replies, "I became his friend only to destroy him and to save the youth from this drug dealer." Alonzo tells Jake that he needs to hand over some money to a Mexican family who often help him in his operations. They arrive at the house, and Alonzo goes inside to talk. One of the men tells his sister to count the cash while Alonzo heads into another room. The men invite Jake to sit with them and play cards. They start joking and mocking him, making Jake feel uncomfortable. After the money is counted, the truth comes out. The cash Alonzo brought was payment for them to kill Jake. They also reveal that Alonzo had killed a member of the Russian mafia and promised to pay $1 million as compensation. Today is his deadline. If he fails to pay, the Russians will come for him. Hearing this, Jake realizes Alonzo has set him up. He tries to escape, but the gang catches him and beats him badly. They drag him into a room, preparing to kill him. Just before pulling the trigger, one of the men checks Jake's pockets to take his money, and finds a wallet. It's the same wallet that belonged to the girl Jake saved earlier from being attacked. Shocked, they realize she's the cousin of their gang leader. The gang leader asks Jake how he got the purse. Jake explains everything, how he saved the girl from being attacked earlier that day. To confirm, the leader calls his cousin, and she tells them it's true. Hearing this, the gang decides to spare Jake's life and let him go. Jake goes straight to Alonzo's girlfriend's house, knowing Alonzo will be there. Alonzo tries to calm him down, saying everything that happened was just a test to see how capable Jake is. But Jake doesn't believe him and demands that Alonzo return the stolen money. A huge shootout breaks out between them, destroying everything around. Alonzo tries to fight back but realizes he's losing and attempts to escape. Alonzo jumps into his car and tries to escape, but Jake blocks his way. During the chase, Alonzo's car crashes, leaving him injured. Desperate, Alonzo offers money to the gang members around to kill Jake, but no one agrees to help him. Cornered, Alonzo tries to threaten Jake, saying, "If you kill me, you'll go to jail and lose your family." But this time, Jake doesn't listen to his lies. One of the gang members steps forward and tells Jake to take the money and leave. Jake walks away with the money, leaving Alonzo behind. Alonzo realizes he's in serious danger. Today is the last day to pay the Russian mafia, and Jake has taken all the money. The only way to survive is to escape from the town. He drives fast through the streets trying to hide somewhere safe, but before he can escape, the Russian mafia tracks him down. They surround his car and open fire, killing Alonzo on the spot. The man who once ruled the streets falls, destroyed by his own greed and corruption. Jake pulls into his driveway and goes home to his wife and daughter, while a radio broadcast describes Alonzo's death as occurring honorably while serving a high-risk warrant near LAX. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment for more videos.